This book is for you, How to Not Suck.
I have a microphone.
The last minute we changed it to How to Suck Less at Estimating.
And you don't.
Habits for better project outcomes.
So you will listen to every word I have to say!
The book is out there. It's beautiful. People are buying it by the dozens. People are buying it for their teams, for themselves, just to have something to read, something to comfort them at night. How to Suck Less at Estimating, Habits for Better Project Outcomes. There are at least 6 tools that, there's 6 modules. This is also being turned into a course, which we're going to distribute through our friends at Restoration Technical Institute, Lisa Lavender. And there's 6 tools that you should be able to add to your tool bag, your intentional estimating, intentional restore tool bag. And one of those is what we call the standard, the mother of all tools. I think this is for all of your team members, something that everybody can get behind and immediately implement. So we wanted to get a little snip, a little taste of what that looks like. Go ahead and buy this book. Pre-register for the course, and looking forward to your feedback.
Do you really listen to podcasts while you run?
There's nothing that gets me more juiced up than the sweet sounds.
The DYOJO Podcast.
I'm listening to it right now. It's the Django.
Okay, so I listen to the Django
Podcast.
Turn it off, I'm done.
I'm done.
Can't you be like Lassie one time in your life?
Good help.
The goal in this course, How to Suck Less at Estimating, is to pick away at some of the faulty foundations that regularly lead to profit-sucking estimating habits.
Let's start with some tough love, all right?
And so we're going to break down some of the mindset and habits that we need to stop doing and try to infuse some of the things we need to start doing.
Ready for this? Here goes. You two suck.
You cannot do it excellently. If you want to change your mindset and habits, it all starts with being able to do it right, do it efficiently, and do it excellently. You cannot do it excellently if you first don't know how to do it right. That, my friends, is the DYOJO way. The guiding principle, I think, that is most helpful to everybody in this chain, everybody in your organization. Everybody should understand the claim standard. Claim standard is restoring your property to resemble pre-loss conditions with materials of like, kind, and quality, no more and no less. As an aspiring professional, a technician, this book is for you. And when you arrive, Mr. or Mrs. Homeowner, this is what our commitment is. The people, whoever's answering the phone can say, hey, we are a company that is committed to the claim standard. We want to do everything in our power to help you restore your property to resemble pre-loss conditions with materials of like, kind, and quality, no more and no less.
What you're doing is terrific.
So if you only do mitigation, we're going to determine, what the source and the extent is. We're going to address those things that are related to the claim so that it can be properly addressed and ready for someone to come in and assess the repairs.
This outlet,
the DYOJO Podcast.
Folks should be listening to you.
And put an estimate together to restore you to pre-loss conditions with materials of like, kind, and quality.
What the industry needs is conversations like this.
The claim standard, how does that work in the real world? Okay, we're out at a loss, and the customer says, hey, my neighbor, they said they got all their carpet covered. And they even were able to upgrade it, so they were able to get better carpet than what they had. What do you got for me? How does that work?
I don't like that, actually.
And so what we like to tell people, it's not always that obvious or blatant. It has happened from time to time.
I know you guys think it's fun, but I don't like that.
We say our company is committed to what we call the claim standard. So Your expectation when you bought your insurance policy is that in the event of a covered damage, it would restore you to resemble pre-loss conditions. Is that right? With materials of like, kind, and quality? Would you say that's accurate? Yeah, that sounds pretty accurate. Okay. So what we're going to do is we're going to thoroughly document the damages to your structure. So we practice what we call thorough data capture. So we're trying to capture everything that we can. So we use resources like DocuSketch. I do a video walkthrough. I take detailed photos and I label those photos. We use a software called Xactimate.
No! God, please, no! No!
It's designed to try to create a shared language between the contractors who do insurance work and the adjusters.
No!
So it's supposed to be a way that we can communicate with each other. It uses standardized pricing.
No!
Which they update. And that's supposed to be a benchmark or a starting point so that we can confirm certain things, agree to at least the initial scope and cost.
No!
Mindset change. I'll tell you a quick story.
You're hearing the voice of Steve Patrick of Level the Playing Field. This is from the DYOJO Podcast, episode 82, The Power of Using Questions During Insurance Claims and All Business Negotiations. He makes some great points, this one in particular on the right price.
So there's he had this guy in there that was a plumber up in Chicago. The guy was, he'd come from Yugoslavia or something like that. Anyway, he was a master plumber when he got here. He was selling the work for a higher price than anyone else in Chicago. And he was closing almost 90% of the jobs that he went out, he would close them. They would all hire the company. And so the owner of the company asked him one day, he said that you're able to close such a high percentage because I want you to train all the rest of our plumbers that go out. How are you able to close 90% and you're selling at a higher price than anyone in Chicago? He goes, well, I don't know. I just go in and explain and they buy.
Sell me this pen.
Guess what happened to his closing ratio after the owner had told him he was charging the highest price in Chicago? It plummeted to 40%. Mindset changed. Back when he thought he was bringing tremendous value to the client, guess what they bought? The value that he was selling. Once the owner had told him that you're charging the highest price in Chicago, all of a sudden he thought, oh my goodness, I'm overcharging the clients. And guess what happened?
So what happened? He lost it.
Isn't that interesting? See, it's all it's between our ears. Mindset change. Same thing with dealing with these adjusters. It's your mindset. Yeah. If you know that you're right and you're bringing tremendous value to the clients, guess what? Will the adjuster, because you're convinced. See, I believe that a client is crazy not to hire me. And guess who else knows that too? The client knows that.
Power and practice of using questions.
Mindset change. Dealing with an adjuster, 90% of every word that comes out of your mouth, every sentence should be in the form of a question.
Helping you shorten your dang learning curve.
Mindset change.
We're going to resume our conversation on the book, How to Suck Less at Estimating. Habits for Better Project Outcomes. This one is I'm excited, first one in full color. First one with a gloss cover. It's got full color pictures. It's got full color diagrams and some infographics from the DYOJO. Our crack team really cracked this one out. So pretty cool stuff. So if you haven't picked up a copy yet, please buy a dozen. And we're getting back to talking about how, from Module 1, as part of the training course that will be with Restoration Technical Institute, on implementing what we call the standard and training your team to use that throughout all your conversations to set the right expectations for your team, the customer, and even with the adjuster. What we try to do is make sure that we present that accurately to the insurance company, try to anticipate any questions that they might have. You know, we've been doing this a long time. I've been doing this, over 20 years. And so we kind of know what they expect, how they expect it to be presented.
No!
This phase of where we're at thorough data capture, so that way we can do accurate data input, into the system and present the estimate to them that way to get an initial agreement. The way we would approach the carpet, our typical understanding, if it's continuous, usually it's covered for matching. I don't know exactly what your policy says, but I can see this carpet extends from this room into that room, and that room. Where the insurance company, some insurance companies may give pushback. They say a door creates a line of sight break.
I don't like that, actually.
So some insurance companies may say it's not covered in this room or this room or this room because there's a door that creates a line of sight break. I'm going to measure those rooms. I'm going to document them. But you may have to have a conversation with your insurance company and say, when I bought the policy, I expected that if the carpet were damaged, continuous carpet, that they would replace the continuous. You may have to have that conversation with your insurance company.
I know you guys think it's fun, but I don't like that.
But you'll have the data and the photos document showing it, and we'll present it that way. If they say it's not covered, ask them to outline where in your policy it states that and clarify that with you. My job, my responsibility is really the scope, to say this is what I observed as damages, this is what I believe in the scope and cost, agreed upon cost it'll take. Again, the standard, restoring your property to resemble pre-loss conditions with materials of like kind and quality, no more and no less.
Helping you shorten your dang learning curve.
If Marty were here and walking around, what do you think he would say to the everyday restorer? So the new voice you're hearing is John Pletcher. He is the 2022 recipient of the Martin L. King Award. So they named a reward after Marty L. King.
Cliff Zlotnick, who's also an industry icon, wrote 4 words: igniter of an industry.
And if you want to know about him, a great place to start, we have this article linked on propertyrestorationhistory.com. But it's the 2007 Cleaning and Restoration, March 2007 Cleaning and Restoration, Founding Fathers of Restoration, by our good friend Pete Consigli.
Pete Consigli, Global Watchdog.
The 4 faces on Mount Restoration, taking the best of the past to build for the future. And there's Marty right there.
So many books and papers he'd written. His microscope and all this laboratory equipment and stuff. Yeah. He was a true scientist. It was like Frankenstein.
Mad scientist.
Not mad, but he. Yeah.
And so what John is, this was a conversation we had after he received the award. He's also working on the fire standard with the IICRC, and he's sharing some of his thoughts and recollections of Marty King.
All the research documents were there, and all of his writing. I think it's worth preserving. I really do.
Yeah.
And whether this new crop of people that do this work really want to learn more about him, they would have the opportunity to.
Yeah. If you care about this industry's past as well as its future, you should get familiarize yourself with, starting with propertyrestorationhistory.com.
But there's 4 words. That's exactly how I would describe him. Igniter of an industry.
Yeah.
He got this industry going into what it is today. Igniter of an industry.
What would you say you do here?
The DYOJO Podcast.